right, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning again. Today is October 15th, 2022, and we are here to do the victim impact statement on the trial, the state of Texas versus Billy Shamir, which concluded on last week. And so, as we talked about previously, we have several family members that we know are going to be speaking today at the podium. We will start off. We understand there are some family members who cannot be in the courtroom or actually be in the state of Texas at this time, so we will allow that video impact statement to go. And then after that, I will ask Mr. Fitzmartin if there's any other family members that would like to give victim impact statements. And as we talked about before, we want to be cognizant of everyone's time, but we want to also make sure that everyone has the opportunity to speak and to be heard. So with each family member, we'll allow, our 3 to 5 minutes. You're welcome to come up with your family members if you would like. So at this time, Mr. Fitzmartin, if you would like to start the video.
Hi, Billy. This is my dad.
Hi, Billy.
He's Lou T. Harris's son, and I'm Karen, Lou T. Harris's granddaughter, and my dad's only child. So this is the first time that you probably have heard of us, but this isn't the first time that we know of you. We actually found out about you when we first found out about my grandmother's death 3 years ago. And we learned about the link of her death to you. And we don't expect you to remember us, but we hope that you remember our message. So when we first found out about my grandmother's death, it was undoubtedly, of course, such a huge shock to hear that it wasn't an accident and to hear that her life was taken in such a morbid way. We were just in utter disbelief that something so horrible could happen to her. And yeah, we miss her. We miss her a lot. She was such a kind and lovely and generous person. And I remember she would send us these big boxes of these really thoughtful gifts every month or two, and she cared about us a lot to learn about what we liked and didn't like. And there was this one time where she even sent us a toaster, and it's funny because we could have just easily bought it at a local store, but it just showed how much she cared about and loved us, and we really cared about and loved her as well, and we were able to stay in touch despite living quite far apart from each other. But the fact remains that you killed my grandmother, and you killed my dad's mother. And for a while there, we were just struggling with so much grief. We were really scared and angry as well. We were just triple checking the locks on our doors. We had trouble sleeping at night. And even when we visited Dallas after all of this to take care of my grandmother's belongings, we were still pretty shaken up, and we couldn't bring ourselves to stay in her home to sleep there, so we actually stayed in a hotel instead. And we were just, terrified of going out, but we were also terrified of staying in because of how she was murdered. And I remember being at her home and being inside that room where she was murdered and standing by the very bed that she died. And I remember thinking about how much fear and suffering and just panic that she would have experienced in the last moments of her life, and how that would have just, our experience would have just paled in comparison to hers. But I remember to the side, actually, there was a dresser and a mirror, and I looked to the side, and I remember thinking, this guy would have seen his own face right before he did what he did. And I can't even imagine the level of suffering that you went through, the level of pain and strife that you experience within yourself to perpetrate such a thing and to justify your actions within your own mind. And maybe you thought you could transfer all of your hurt and pain onto others by hurting others so that you could feel less of it yourself. But my grandmother's suffering, that only lasted moments. And your suffering is still continuing. And that suffering, that pain, that grief maybe, or even fear, even though I may not know the extent or completely understand what you experience with that, I can definitely say that I know what it feels like to feel deep pain for myself, and especially the pain of losing my grandmother. And my family and I aren't going to perpetuate that suffering and your pain in ourselves, because we're choosing to forgive you. We're choosing to end that cycle of pain and suffering by forgiving you. So we forgive you, Billy. And I don't want that to continue to spread. I'm not going to let it fester or pass it on. We don't condone your actions, of course. It doesn't mean that we don't think you deserve to feel and experience the consequences of your actions. We still think that you do. But we are just choosing to let go of this and not hold on to it for our own well-being. So now that we can let it go and just, move on with our lives, you have the rest of your life to think about what you did and why. And I hope that you're able to come to an understanding, maybe even have compassion and let go of that yourself. And I really hope that you choose a different path, because you do have the rest of your life ahead of you. I don't have it in me to resent you or to hurt you back or want to seek revenge or all of that. I want to acknowledge that you're still human and you still deserve to know joy and love. So, thank you for listening to us, and we wish you well. And do you have any closing thoughts?
Okay, and I Thank you for the police, the judge, the jury, and court for all of your hard work. I thank you and my daughter. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Lindsay Williams-Roan. I will not waste my breath on you except to say I am so proud. My name is Lindsay Williams-Roan. I will not waste my breath on you except to say I am so proud of my brave sister Holland, who took the stand to testify against you. Our mother, Martha Williams, was a fighter, and she fought you. She's raised two fighters. We have fought you, and we will continue to fight you until you are dead in your cold, dark prison cell alone. My mother probably already told you, but it bears repeating. Go to hell.
My name is Scott McPhee, and I represent the family and friends of Carolyn McPhee. In 2016 and 2017, you came into our parents' home disguised as a caregiver who would help our mother care for our ailing father. But then you, the real Billy Shamirmir, the one who only cares about himself, came back 8 months after our father passed and took advantage of the trust you had been given by our mother and killed her in the home that she had shared with our father, where love and joy had reigned for so many years. You ate in that house with us. You spent time with our family. You saw what we were and who we were, and it all meant nothing more to you than a few $1,000s worth of jewelry. For that, you took the life of a woman who had years of joyful life left. What you will never understand is those trinkets meant nothing to us. Instead, it is the theft of time that is your crime. The time she did not get to see her oldest grandson get married. The time she did not get to greet her first grandson. The time she won't see her grandson get his diploma. The time she won't spend with her granddaughter in the kitchen or doing puzzles. The time she's not with friends laughing. The time we will not get to spend with her. All the times she will miss because of your selfishness. You stole that valuable time from all of us. As Carolyn McPhee's family, we are people with faith in God. So while you face the justice that man provides, we know the true justice is God's, and He knows the real Billy Shamirmir. All you have left is time, Billy. I suggest you use it wisely. As for Carolyn McPhee's family, you have taken enough of our time, and we will waste no more of it on you, because you have no power over us.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Come on. Stand with me. I'm Sergeant Major Thomas Brooks, United States Army. Standing with me is my brother, Staff Sergeant Richard Brooks, and my son, OS1 Michael Brooks, U.S. Navy. We're here obviously on behalf of mother and grandmother, Sue Mason Brooks, Mary Sue Mason Brooks. My father passed away in 2007 and surrounded by those who loved him. That memory makes the loss easier to bear. But the memories of my mother are marred by the remembrance that our last minutes were spent in fear, pain, and terror as a despicable monster murdered her. My only consolation is that my mother is beyond being hurt further. The evil thing that took her life deprived me of the memories that should have consoled me at her passing. I have watched this murderer in the courtroom on TV. I have seen him smile as he pawns the receipts of his crimes. The pain and suffering of his victims and their families means nothing to him. He looks like a puppy that's been scolded for soiling the carpet and doesn't understand what people are mad about. He is nothing but a jackal, a hyena, a vulture that has learned to walk on two legs. He's a pretend man, not a real man. Like them, he is a coward, preying on the weakest members of our society. You will now be caged like the vicious, cowardly animal you are. Your cowardice will now make you the prey, for cowardice is weakness. And in the society you will wind up in, weakness is vulnerability. I hope you see the faces of your victims and you understand that you brought this on yourself each and every time, that you deserve each and every humiliation you receive. I wish you a long life in fear and loneliness, caged like the rabid, diseased animal you are. I wear my uniform today to honor those, uniformed or plain clothes, who put this cowardly thug where he belongs. We, and I include our country, have failed the victims when we permit rabid animals to roam our country unchecked. Yet there is no 100% guarantee of safety. We can only do the best we can, and you save the lives of all his future victims. My oath of service, and I'm sure yours as well, has no expiration date. My special thanks and gratitude to the Richardson, Plano, and Dallas Police Departments, the FBI, and the Office of the District Attorney. Please take this filth away, cage it where it will never harm another innocent. I would spit on it, but my saliva would be insulted by touching it.
We've all lost much, but mostly time with our loved ones. Though we would lose that eventually in natural death. It is with pity that I look at your life, a life you had so full of goodness and generosity, aid to the elderly and infirm, and you cowardly let the devil wrap his fingers around your heart and throw your life away for greed. I didn't know you before this, and you will be forgotten now that this is over. We will carry the memories of our loved ones forever in the rest of our lives. I am done with you. However, in faith, I am commanded by the one I follow, the one we will all kneel before on the final judgment day. I am commanded to forgive you, and therefore it is forgiven.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're down here from the Nelson family.
My name is Karen Nelson. I don't really want to do this. It's so hard for me to look at you and speak to you. but I have to do this for my mom. I'm guessing you don't care whether I speak to you or not. My mother was Miriam Nelson. She was 81 years young when you took her life on March the 9th of 2018. She was healthy and vibrant. She was kind, funny, and she loved life. And she loved people. Ironically, she taught me to always look for the good in everyone, but I can't find any good in you, Cherished. To refresh your memory, my mom lived at Preston Place in Plano. You first entered her apartment on a Wednesday morning, claiming to look for a leak. She realized that afternoon that you had taken her necklace that day. It wasn't enough for you, so you came back 2 days later and you smothered her to death and took the rest of her jewelry. I've spent countless hours reliving what her last moments must have been. Did she fight? Did she beg you for her life? It makes me sick at my stomach that your evil face was the last thing that she saw when she left this earth. Not the faces of her children, her grandchildren, or her great-grandchildren, the people that loved her so much. What a vile coward you are to prey on the vulnerable, elderly women. I wonder if the thought of your own mom ever crossed your mind during any of these acts. And to think that you came to our country in search of a better life, but instead of working for a living, you became a professional liar, a thief, and a cold-blooded killer, selling our mom's jewelry to feed your disgusting habits. Your senseless murder of my mom shattered my life. I've lived with a lot of guilty what ifs. What if I hadn't asked her to move so close to me? What if I'd gone to her apartment earlier that day? What if I'd walked in on you, smothering her? Could I have saved her? In the last 4.5 years, I've suffered from stress-related health issues, PTSD, and insomnia. But I reached a point that I refused to let my hatred for you control me. And through this horrible tragedy, I've learned just how much my family loves and supports me. I've also met the most amazing families who were daughters and sons of your victims. We started out sharing our grief, and now we have an alliance that works to ensure the safety of the senior living community. Most importantly, we've become lifelong friends. I'm going to end with Romans 12:19. Never take your own revenge, but leave room for the wrath of God, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. The eternal flames of hell are too good for you, Cherished.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll now hear from the Payne family.
My mom, Phyllis Payne, was a vibrant, active, loving, amazing woman. She was 91 years old. She was still living a fabulous life. She was a mother, a grandmother, she was a great-grandmother, she was an aunt, friend, but most of all, she was a huge helper to all those around her. She loved people so well. No one would ever know that she was 91 years old. She was always there to lend a helping hand to her friends and family. She only got to meet one of her great-grandchildren because you stole her life before so many others were born. They never got to know this wonderful woman. My late husband lay dying of cancer when you took her life. She so wanted to be there to help me through that terrible time. You stole my mom, my best friend, and for what? Bit of jewelry, bit of silver. 2 days before you killed her, we were doing what we loved to do together. Just simple things like running errands and sharing a meal together, just spending time together, as so many others here have said. We just wanted time, and you stole that time from us. Time was precious to us, and we were certain that we would have many more years. My brother and I would laugh and talk about how she would live to be 100 because of who she was. Today, my children, her grandchildren, live in horror of your actions. My brother and I have had endless nightmares as a result. He asked me to tell you that he promised our father as he lay dying that he would take care of our mother. And because of you, my brother holds the heavy sense of failure in his heart every day. My hope and peace is in knowing that our mother is in heaven with the Lord and that I'll see her again one day. And I have to hold on to that when I think of her last moments here on this earth. I have to shut those out and think of where she is now. I turn my thoughts to her being with Jesus, and I pray that you will find remorse for the countless lives that you have taken.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the French family.
Judge Jones, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak to the court today. We really appreciate you. My name is Ellen French House, and my mother was Norma Wilson French. I have some pictures for you to see if you can see them from there of my mother before and after. I want you to be able to see and put a name with her face. I think you probably don't remember because you murdered so many. This is my beautiful mother. This is my mother after you pried her wedding ring off of her finger that she couldn't even get off. Unbelievable. Last Saturday, October 8th, is the anniversary that I dread every year. On October 8th, 2016, you terrorized, smothered, and murdered my mother. I often wonder, did you watch the Texas OU game that was on her TV while you smothered her? I know she was watching that game as she had told me exactly what she was going to do that afternoon. I also know that you stayed in her room well over an hour at the Tradition Prestonwood. I pray she did not suffer long. The game was something my mom, Norma, and our whole family look forward to every year. We had so many great memories built around that game. The game is forever ruined because of your evil. So many lives, so many memories are forever destroyed because of your greed. The horrifying stories of your attempts and successes of smothering so many incredible people sicken me. You have changed me and my world forever. You have robbed me not only of my beautiful, cherished mother, but you've also stolen the Ellen that I was. You've taken these past few years of happiness and memories with my children, my husband, and my friends. The grief I feel seems so surreal and it's overwhelming. The nightmares are unbearable. I wake in tears, praying that it's all a bad dream. But then the realization and the horror washes over me as I head off to another day trying to act like I'm okay, just to end up replaying it over and over again what my mother endured and how scared she was. My mom and I talked
2 times a day at least, every day. Even to this day, I catch myself thinking, I should call my mom. I gotta tell her something. But then I remember she's gone. I know as she frightfully struggled for her last breath that Christ lovingly embraced her and carried her to eternal life. But I will always be haunted that she left this world in such a traumatic and unimaginable way, and that the last thing she saw was your wicked face. Okay. Although you are the actual murderer, sadly, you are not the only evil in this picture. I also hold the tradition Prestonwood, its owner, Jonathan Perlman, and its employees, including Rachel Nelson, Jeff Wells, Etsy and Chez, Mary Will, as equally accountable. I can only imagine you lurking the halls and thinking, how foolish are these negligent people that they are not recording and reporting me, as I have trespassed in this building over 100 times. So many lives could have been saved had the tradition Prestonwood management not put profit and pride over cooperation with the authorities. Nine murders in that complex alone, as far as we know. They should all be going to prison as well. Mom, I ache and I miss you terribly and constantly. I will continue to fight for justice for all of these victims. I will fight to protect all seniors so that tragedies like these never happen again. I love you, and I can't wait to reunite with you in heaven. Rest in peace. Thank you.
Well, now I have the Bixer family coming up.
Before these trials began, I had never been in the presence of an individual that had such a total disregard for human life, but our mom had. You saw her as a commodity, but we saw her as our mom. And just like your mom had a name, our mom had a name too. This is our mom. Her name is Marilyn, and she was everything you would expect her to be, but mostly she was a mentor and a friend. She turned 90 years young on August 27th of 2017. She was thriving. Just 2 weeks after her birthday on September 16th, between a call to my husband to wish him a happy birthday and nightly dinner with friends, she encountered the worst of humanity, Billy Shamirmir, in what was supposed to be where she felt most safe, her home. It would take 18 months for us to learn the truth about her death, and the grieving began all over again, but this time it was deeper, more painful, and there were months of sleepless nights. I had to find a way to overcome the nightmare of what I imagined to be my mom's last few moments of life. Romans 12:21 says, "Don't let evil conquer you, but conquer evil by doing good." Billy Shamirmir, you are that evil. But I was not going to let you take me down too, not physically, not mentally, not emotionally. I leaned heavily into my Christian faith, and through a Bible study by Pastor John Piper from 2 Timothy, I gained assurance that as Billy Shamirmir was stealing our mom's last breath, she was not seeing your face as I had imagined. She was seeing glimpses of glory. The jewels she would see when she was ushered into heaven far surpassed the jewels that you were rummaging for in her room. And once you found them in what seemed like a standing appointment at Gold and Diamond Exchange, you took my mom's belongings and you exchanged my mom's life for $600 cash. The wounds you created will take a long time to heal, but even then the scars will remain. I choose to let those scars serve as a reminder to trade evil for good, warning others of the vulnerability and dangers when the senior living community tops the list. Who could even imagine anything as evil as feeding your greed and funding your lifestyle by becoming a predator and our elderly parents becoming your prey? But you didn't just imagine it. You made this your way of life for far too many years, and I pray that no one would ever think to do the same. So your fate is to live out the rest of your lives in the federal penitentiary, while our fate is to live out the rest of our lives knowing what you did to our moms. And while it is true that you will never see the outside of a prison, it is also true that the ultimate crime did not receive the ultimate punishment. And therefore, ultimately, some of us will never feel like you got the justice that you deserved. I take heart in knowing that this is not your final judgment and that someday you will stand face to face with God. I will move forward in prayer that God will heal my heart, that together our families can trade evil for good, that God softens my heart in a way that will allow me to pray for your heart, and that you would seriously contemplate your life and your actions so that you might leave this earth as a child of God instead of an instrument of evil. From where we're sitting today, that seems impossible. But in Mark 27, the disciples wondered the same thing, and Jesus looked at them intently and said, humanly speaking, it is impossible, but not with God. Everything is possible with God. So therein lies your hope. If the rest of your life in prison seems daunting, an eternity in hell will be far worse. And if you continue to live in the denial of what you've done to these victims and all of these families, that's exactly where you'll be, and deservedly so.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the Corkin family.
Recognize this picture? This is my mom, Leah Corkin. The day after I took this picture, you murdered her in her apartment at Tradition Prestonwood on August 19th, 2016. What I see in this picture is a vibrant, fun-loving, beautiful, lovely lady who I had a great time with the night before you took her from me. I miss her terribly. You robbed her of continuing her legacy. You took her from me and my husband, my brother Matt, my sister Lisa, her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. What you saw when you looked at this woman that day was a quick way to make money. You devalued my innocent mom to dollar signs and preyed on her. You are a cowardly human being to prey on her and all the other victims. You're a coward. This is not the first time we met, Hilly. You remember? Probably not. We shared an elevator at Tradition Prestonwood one late afternoon in 2016. I walked in. You're just standing there. Not a button is pressed, and you wouldn't look up. I immediately knew something was up. What is wrong with this man? What is he doing in this building? I knew evil was surrounding me. You avoided my attempt to make any conversation to figure out what you were doing there. I reported you to management then, feeling very unnerved by your presence. Of course, you didn't Tradition Prestonwood and all those hiding places and all those places to hide better than I did. And Tradition Prestonwood, you were there over 100 times that year, over 100 times. And Tradition Prestonwood is just as guilty. Jonathan Perlman, the owner, should take ownership of allowing you to roam the halls like you did. I know you don't care, nor do my words mean anything to you. But when I realized the last thing my mom saw in those words were your dark, evil eyes, look at you, you're so blank. She had to suffer the most unimaginable fear. I've had to endure that vision for 3 years, which has caused so much pain and suffering. I could continue to tell you, but I know you don't care. Now that this is over, you have zero impact on me and my future. I can finally move on. Now it is you who has lost everything. It is now you who will be the victim. Everyone in prison has a mom and a grandmom. And when they found out that you murdered all these powerless victims, it will be you who is preyed on. You will be stalked and followed and frightened. I will end this. I listened to your interview with Andrew Dodge and your interview with Charlie Scudder. You quote the Bible many times. You speak as if you are a man of God. If this is true, then you will have to ask for forgiveness for what you have done, and only God can judge you. But I will ask you to confess to me and the other victims' families. Don't be a coward in the eyes of God. Ask for forgiveness. Confess to your sins.
Rotten hell, you piece of shit.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the Conklin family.
This is my sweet mama. I wish I could call her. I wish I could hug her. I wish I was there at her bedside when she died. I never attended one day of your trial. I was so terrified to see you. But then I realized my mother was so terrified the day you came in her door. We have all been living in a nightmare, and every single one of us just wants to wake up. And we can't. All of our stories are the same, yet all of our stories are very unique. You killed my mom Sunday, March 18th, 2 weeks after you killed her friend, Martha, and 1 day prior to attempting to kill her neighbor, Mary. She lived across the hall. After Martha and Miriam's death, my mom was in a conundrum. She kept telling me they just were not ready to die. They didn't seem ready to die. Well, guess what? They were not ready to die. Jewelry was your motive, and you took these most precious people from our lives, our innocent and loving mothers. You have no heart. You have no soul. You have no conscience. You have no dignity. Just like my mom said, Martha was not ready to die. All of these moms were not ready to die. These mothers lived wonderful, fulfilling lives. All the more reason that they should have died peacefully rather than brutally. My precious mother was worldly. She was witty. She was well-read. She was winsome. She was warm-hearted. And most of all, she was worthy. None of us will ever have closure. But I know the woman my mom was, and she would tell me not to give you another second, minute, hour, day, week, year, because certainly you didn't give any of your victims that. Life is so precious. All these moms were so precious. The opposite word of precious is worthless, and that is you.
Thank you. We'll hear from the Sinclair family.
Make this one short and sweet. Today is a day of thanks, not Thanksgiving. Thanks that you're gone forever. Judge Iraqi, I want to thank you. 3 trials, was awesome. To all the law enforcement in Dallas and Cowan counties who finally put this thing together. Thank you. Mr. Haynes, thank you for giving a good defense as Texas law provides for. Now I come to you. Glenn, there are no words for you and John and your entire staff. You guys knocked it out of the park. But most of all, I want to thank the 42 jurors who stood up as citizens of Texas and took care of your butt. Speaking for Dr. Sinclair, she healed veterans. She cared for the sick. Her entire life, she worked to make people's lives better. And you ended it in about 3 minutes. When you're in that cell and you need an aspirin, or you need a Band-Aid, or you need brain surgery, remember the name Dr. Catherine Sinclair.
Thank you. We'll hear from the Delahanty family.
Thank you. I have been trying to put into words what you took from the Delahanty and Voss family and what you took away from my mother, Diane. I found her body on December 5th, 2017, with the same clothes on that she had been wearing on Sunday. The image of my mother and how I found her will always be with me. She was one of your victims. She wore many different hats through her lifetime, from daughter, sister, wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, sister-in-law, aunt, mother-in-law, and friend. She wore all these hats with dignity and pride, cherishing each role as it gave her purpose. You took her from us for 3 pieces of jewelry. Her wedding ring set of over 60 years and her 50th anniversary gold band. Christmas was always a special time for my mom. It meant pulling out her holiday sweaters, making plans to decorate her apartment, then coming over and decorating mine, planning the annual Caltex ladies lunch at Maggiano's, and attending Christmas parties with new and old friends. She was looking forward to having her children and grandchildren that lived in the United States together for Christmas, already planning the week. Her death has affected her children differently and has left a void in each of us. She wasn't given her last rites. She didn't die peacefully surrounded by her loved ones. We were not able to tell her all those things that one does at the end of their lives to say thank you for being our mother, supporting and loving us regardless of the decisions we made and paths we took. You took from our mother the joy of seeing her grandchildren graduate from high school, college, and getting married, to see them grow into young adults with their own lives and families. You took from her celebrating her great-grandchildren's first birthday. You took from her the friendships she had made, the nights out with the girls after church, the holiday parties, milestones, birthdays, and anniversaries, lunch and shopping with friends or family. You took from her traveling to Australia to see her son and spend time with his family. You took from her spending time with her sister and brother. You took from her seeing her family experience life and all those challenges, putting in her 2 cents along the way. The little bit of solace that the Delahanty and Voss families have is that you will not experience any of these things
with your child or children, as you will spend the rest of your life behind bars. You will never be able to harm another member of society or put any other family through this anguish. You will die alone, not surrounded by your loved ones. You will not see your children grow into young adults, celebrate their life's achievements and experiences life's adventures. You will lose out on the roles that a parent cherishes throughout their children's lives, all for pieces of jewelry. This gives me some peace that what you took from my mother and our family is now taken from you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the Gleason family.
Judge Jones, Martin, thank you so much for giving all of us this opportunity. My name is Shannon Gleason Dion. I am here today able to speak to you because of the strength I inherited from my parents and the support of loving family and friends. My mother, Doris Huffines Gleason, was a steel magnolia, beautiful and gracious on the outside, strong and mighty on the inside. Her faith, family, and friends were the most important thing to her. She would have given you the jewelry. You didn't have to kill her. My mother held my sisters in my father's hand as they passed away. They died surrounded with love. Because of you, Mama died in love. I have nightmares seeing her face when she realizes she shouldn't have opened the door to you, that she is in trouble. I promised my daddy that he could go in peace, that I would take care of Mama, and you made me break my promise to my father. You stole the breath from my beautiful, precious Mama. Our family feels the loss at family gatherings, dinners, vacations, celebrations, sooner than we should have. She was my buddy. We would go shopping, to lunch, to see movies. Her style was classy and impeccable. She would join us to watch Cowboys and Aggie football games. My husband, Eric, had a very loving, special relationship with Mama. She knew she could ask him for anything and he would take care of it. She loved her three granddaughters, encouraging them in their pursuits, passing on grandmother wisdom. We lost the matriarch of our family. I have always known God and Daddy saw what you did that day, October 29th, 2016, at the Tradition Prestonwood. You made her last moments a struggle, and I have to live with this fact for the rest of my life. I know I will be reunited with my loved ones one day. You, murderer, know the only way you will leave prison is when the coroner comes for your cold, dead body. Today, I carry my mother's prayer book with me. I beg you, admit what you have done. Ask for God's forgiveness. Otherwise, you will burn in hell forever.
My name is Eric Young. I'm speaking on behalf of my mother-in-law, Doris Gleason, who you murdered at the Tradition Prestonwood. She was number 7 of 8 that we know of. Coward. You're a murderer of elderly ladies, mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, and why? So that you could sell family heirlooms for a fraction of their worth for a quick buck. You destroyed families for a quick buck. From the Old Testament, it's an eye for an eye. It should cost you your life, not lethal injection, but by being smothered by a pillow like you did to your victims. That's not our system. Instead, it's a long, drawn-out legal process for murder, many appeals with a potential stay of execution at the last moment. Then, hopefully, finally, a lethal injection. While the outcome is just, the process in Texas is not in favor of the victims' families. Judge Creuzot wisely appreciated this, and you now have 2 life sentences without parole instead. You'll go away and die in jail. This releases the victim's family from being victimized yet again. Die in jail, you coward.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the Purdy family.
This is a picture of my mother, Juanita Tucker Einspanier Purdy. I'm showing you her picture because I'm sure you don't know who she is. She was just one of the many people that you murdered at the Tradition in Dallas while she was living her wonderful, beautiful life on the 4th floor. This is my mother. Look at her. Let me tell you about my mom, the one that you decided her joy was more important than her life. My mother was a loving, caring, nurturing, and such a vibrant woman. She loved life. She loved people. She loved everything. If you look around at all of us here, you took away something important. You took away the lives of our mothers. And like everybody else has said, I was told that she died peacefully in her sleep, which gave me a peace of mind. And then 2 years after she died, I find out she didn't die peacefully in her sleep, that you were the last man that she saw. During the trial, they told us how long it took to smother a person. And all I can think of every night when I go to bed is you smothering my mother and what she had to go through. She was 83 when you killed her. Even her doctor called me and she said she didn't understand. She just had a physical. Everything was perfect, but she died peacefully in her sleep. My mother did not get to celebrate me, her daughter, beating breast cancer. My mother did not get to see her son get remarried to a wonderful woman. My mother did not get to see any of her grandkids graduate or get married. And my mother will not get to see her first grandchild be born in a couple of months. And for what? I ask you, for what? Jewelry? Greed? What the hell? You're such a greedy man, but you didn't even care enough to even get half, not even a penny of what those jewelry was worth. And you must have spent hours in my mother's apartment. She had
oh, she loved jewelry, but she had a lot of costume jewelry and then she had a lot of good jewelry. And you left all the costume jewelry, so you had to really just go through everything. You knew when you weren't going to get caught. You've been there hundreds and hundreds of times. My mother would be 89 years old. And I could tell you story after story about how my mother affected people's lives. This place would be full of people wanting to talk about my mother. She made an impact on people's lives, but I'm not going to waste my breath on what my mother did and how she affected people. I know in my heart that my mom would still be alive today, still celebrating her life, her friends, and her family, but she isn't. I look at you and wonder why. Why my mom? Why their mom? All of our mothers was all of our mothers worth the hurt, the pain, and the suffering that we still feel today? Was it worth it? And for what, I ask again, for what? Greed. Greed. I look at you now and there's no get out of jail free card for you. No more families you can wreck. We all know that you took our loved ones from us. You will not now or ever get forgiveness from me. What you took from me, my family, can never be replaced. There is no doubt in my mind that you will get what you deserve. I hope the last thing that you ever see is a pillow over your face like my mother saw.
Thank you. We'll hear from the Lee family.
Your Honor, thank you for giving us the opportunity to make statements and to have our voices be heard. My grandmother was Helen Lee. She lived at Parkview. I was 18 years old in the first week of my freshman year of college in September of 2017 when I came home to see my family. Little did I know that that would become the worst weekend of my entire life. At 18 years old, I went to go check on my grandma when she didn't show up to church. Something was wrong. Something wasn't right. After being the person to find that one of my very best friends had died, I felt guilty in that moment, that I was the only one who knew. How was I supposed to tell my mom? My family, we were all so close. After that weekend, I had to repair. I had to go back to school. Early the next year, at 19 years old, I received a call from a detective after just getting out of class. My head was spinning with so many questions. The horrible truth came out, and once again, I was the only person to know that her life was taken by you, ripped away too soon. You've heard it said already, but Billy, you're a coward. Not only to take advantage of one of the most vulnerable populations, but then to deny everything, as if the evidence did not speak for itself, as if you could offer a better explanation. It's more than evil. Stalking, stealing what wasn't yours, and for what? Fleeting rewards? Fading happiness after the money you took didn't fill the void in your heart? But what you'll never understand is that her jewelry was the least valuable thing that you stole. You stole my last several years with my last living grandparent. She didn't get to watch me graduate college. She won't get to be there when I get married or ever get to meet my children. Her life was worth just a few $1,000s to you, but it was worth everything to me. My Grammy was the best person that I know, too good for this world. And every time I meet someone new, I wish more than ever that they would have the opportunity to meet her, but they never will. Here today, I want it to be known that I will not give you the power to ruin the rest of my life or cause me to become bitter. I will choose to forgive you because I know the Lord's forgiving heart. Knowing that you will be confined to a jail cell for the rest of your life, never to walk free or hurt any family again like you did to mine, might be the most justice that we will see on this side of heaven. Just know that there is a greater judge, and one day you will be wholly accountable for all of your actions. Every single life that you took. And I would be terrified if I were you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Do we have any others, Mr. Martin?
I don't believe so.
All right, well, Sheriff, take Mr. Shamir. He will now be transported to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. The reason he has been in our jail is because we know this needed to happen for the family. So he will now be transported to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. To each of the family members, I just would hope that the Lord will continue to bless and keep each of you. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for allowing this trial to go successfully and to go, as many speakers have said, there is not closure. It is not closure, but